Hello friends, myself Dr. Nidhi Darbari on My Education Treasure. In my previous video, I had discussed about the meaning, nature and advantages and disadvantages of lecturing as a teaching device. Today, in my present video, I am going to discuss about the teaching skills of lecturing. When a teacher takes the help of a lengthy explanation in order to clarify his ideas or some fact, that explanation is termed as lecture. In the words of James M. Lee, the lecture is a pedagogical method whereby the teacher formally delivers a carefully planned expository address on some particular topic or problem. It is an autocratic instructional strategy where only teacher remains active and the students just silent spectators. Most of the teaching devices are involved in lecturing like discussion, dramatization, illustration, etc. Lecturing is speaking by the teacher in classroom teaching. During lecturing, the teacher goes on speaking, giving an outlet to his feelings and thoughts. It is an important teaching device. Lecturing should be done for some time only. That way it remains a device in the hands of the teacher and it remains full in the classroom situation. If lecturing is done for long time, it becomes dull and monotonous affair. Then it is also tiresome for the teacher and boring for the students. Therefore, in the school, the teacher should give lecture as less as possible. But for the seniors, lecturing of a more duration serves useful purpose. Lecture method simply means teaching through lecture. Teacher explains the matter in simple and understandable manner. The method is particularly used in the secondary classes and above. This method can be used to motivate students to clarify, to review, and to expand contents. Lecture method is for imparting authentic, systematic and effective information about some events and trends. It gives the students training in listening. It develops good audience habits. It provides opportunities for correlating events and subjects. It enables the linkage of previous knowledge with the new one. It is a matter of experience that, as in the lecture method, the main teaching aspects are not included carefully. Therefore, most of the teachers usually remain unsuccessful in achieving these objectives. This is the reason of accepting the lecture method as communication strategy only. Of several methods of teaching, the lecture method has so far been the most widely used at the secondary and senior secondary level. Its effectiveness depends mainly upon the communication skills of the teacher. Lecture-based teaching skills. In lecture method, the teacher talks most of the time. Acquiring mastery of skills and components of the lecture can help improve the teacher's performance. One of the most important skills in this context is modulation of voice or voice variation. This skill has several dimensions, that is, speed, pitch, volume, intonation, etc. of the voice. To bring about a better understanding, these components have been explained as follows. Speed refers to the rate of vibration of voice cords during speech. Volume refers to the degree of loudness of speech. Intonation refers to the rise and fall of voice in speech caused by variation in pitch. The meaning of concepts, terms, ideas, etc. are provided not only by words and grammatical constructions but also by intonation patterns employed by the teacher. A teacher can effectively modulate his voice by acquiring mastery of these components. The teacher should modulate his voice according to that he wants to communicate to the students. That is to say, a lecture is always more effective when the teacher lays proper stress on various words and phrases. One of the main characteristics of lecture method is that it is based on one-way communication. A major problem that a teacher faces during lecturing is to sustain the attention of the students. He can overcome this problem by acquiring competence in the skill of stimulus variation. Stimulus variation can be achieved through frequent variations in the style of presentation of subject matter, media, interaction pattern, etc. This breaks down monotony and facilitates students' learning. The skill of stimulus variation has 8 components. A brief description of these components is given as follows. Movements. While lecturing, the teacher should not stand at one place continuously but should change his position at short intervals. This is so because if the students have to look continuously towards the teacher, standing in one position, their eyes get tired. This in turn causes loss of attention. Gestures. Gestures consist of movements of hand, head, eye, and facial expressions for expressing or illustrating an idea, an emotion, or a feeling. Depending on the purpose, the teacher can decide whether a gesture is to be made by the hand, head, or eye, or through a communication of two or more of these simultaneously. Gestures are helpful in making verbal communication effective. The teacher can make use of gestures to draw attention, to emphasize the importance of a particular point or idea, to illustrate feeling, to indicate shapes, size, and movement of objects. Modulation of voice. Appropriate modulation of voice by the teacher is helpful in sustaining the student's attention. This is so because the use of voice without any variation induces monotony among students, resulting in loss of attention. Focusing. Focusing behaviors are of 3 types. A brief description of each is given below. Verbal focusing. It is used for securing attention of the students through statements such as look at the diagram, table, or figure. Listen to me carefully. I am going to describe an important feature. Watch what happens when red litmus paper is placed in an alkaline solution, etc. Gestural focusing. The teacher secures attention of his students through certain gestures. Examples of gestural focusing are underlining of important words or statements written on the blackboard, pointing out important features of a diagram, figure, or graphic presentation with a pointer. Verbal cum gestural focusing. In this type of focusing, the teacher makes the use of both verbal statement and gestures for drawing attention of the students to the important points. Pointing towards the diagram while saying look at the diagram carefully is an example of verbal cum gestural focusing. Pausing. In the context of teaching, pausing means deliberate silence for a short interval introduced during lecture. The teacher introduces pause to draw attention of the student to something important. Audio-visual switching. For making his lecture interesting and to sustain students' attention, the teacher may shift from one medium to another after appropriate intervals. For example, after delivering a talk for some time, a teacher may show slides or a video program to illustrate his talk. This may again be followed by a lecture. Such a procedure ensures that one medium is not used continuously because it leads to monotony and thus distraction. The skill of explanation. During the course of lecturing, the teacher has to make clear the meaning of terms, concepts, situations, etc. Again, he has to describe objects, procedures, processes, etc. Still again, he has to provide explanations based on cause-effect relationship. Explanation is thus a skill that affects the quality of teacher's communication through verbal medium. The teacher should therefore acquire competence in the use of this skill. The following components of the skill of explanation contribute to bearing on the quality of lecturing. Using appropriate beginning and concluding statements. The teacher at the beginning describes precisely what he is going to explain. This motivates the students to pay attention to what he is going to learn. The concluding statements, on the other hand, provide a logical structure of whatever the teacher has explained. Using explaining links. For describing interrelationship among various aspects of a process or an event, a teacher has to use some explaining links or linked words. These are generally words and phrases that provide continuity in the statement. The use of link words make explanation clear and coherent. Some of the commonly used link words are as under, because, though, if then, in order to, therefore, the implication of, since the cause, hence, the purpose of what, if, so this is how, covering essential points. This refers to the critical features and important landmarks of whatever the teacher is trying to communicate. If you found the video to be informative and interesting, I request you all to please give a like to the video to motivate me, share it with others, and subscribe it so that whenever I upload a new video, you will get a notification. Avoiding undesirable behavior. While explaining, the teacher has to avoid certain behavior which hinders understanding by the student. These behaviors are irrelevant statements, lack of continuity, lack of fluency, and inappropriate vocabulary. Illustration with examples. While lecturing, the teacher should describe concepts, principles, theory, etc. with the help of examples. Effective illustration with examples can make lectures more communicative and meaningful. Various components of this skill are formulation of simple, interesting, and relevant examples, use of appropriate media for presenting examples, use of appropriate approach for presenting examples. In sum, it may be said that there are a number of skills that can improve teachers' talk and thereby the quality of a lecture. However, the most critical ones seem to be modulation of voice, skill of stimulus variation, skill of explaining, and skill of illustrating with examples. Thank you very much for patiently watching the video, and don't forget to subscribe.